What is going on, guys, and welcome to my Stamina Templar update build. So I said I'd be doing this a while back, and it's pretty much almost done at the point of being able to show you guys this. So with that said, I am missing two things. It's like, as you may imagine if you play this game, the most expensive things are jewelry. So I have 1 out of 3 pieces, but that's really all I'm missing. Everything else is pretty good. So let's start off with what I am using. I'm using a 5-piece Twice-Born Star, and obviously all 7 of them are stamina because this is a stamina-based build. So medium armor gives stamina, and yeah. So let's start off with what it does. The Twice-Born Star set, it gives you extra resources, and this build is primarily for both, well, actually it's for both PvP and PvE, but it works better if you're in a group. So generally having more resources is good for everything just in general. And then the divines, you want a Mundus stone for pretty much everything, simply because the 5 set allows you to have 2 Mundus stones, and we'll get into what I'm using a little bit later. So as for the Twice-Born Star, the chest piece, waist, hand, legs, and feet are what I use. And of course, it's pretty expensive to upgrade all of them to legendary, but if you don't worry about it. It's just if you're trying to min-max everything to the top of everything, you're gonna want that, and of course that's what you want. So, and then the 4-piece set we're using is the Night Mother, simply for the weapon critical. So there you go. 4 pieces weapon critical, and then you want Mundus stone, and of course everything is stamina as well, just so you have more. And then the 2 other pieces of the Night Mother we're using is for the daggers, so each one counts as 1, and then 2, so 2, helmet, shoulders, 3 and 4. All of these can be crafted, so just to give you a general idea of where you can find it, the Twice-Born Star, you can find it in Craiglorn around here, so you could craft it. Craiglorn at the top, and Night Mother's Gaze you can find in Reaper's. This isn't the only place, but this is the place I go to. The Old Town Cavern in Reaper's March, so just go up here, go over there, and then that's where you can craft it. So now we get to the accessories. Right now, I'm just using stuff because it gives damage. The ones I would normally be using is the Ring of Agility, both stamina, and then the Necklace of Agility for the 3 set, just to give us more damage. And then I would be changing the Recovery enchantment to Attack. And generally you want stamina if you're trying to min-max. However, as you may imagine, stamina is the most expensive thing that costs like 200,000 a ring, and I kind of got lucky in one of the dungeons to actually get this. And not only that, I got a pretty good roll with stamina. So as much as I'd love to sell it, I'm probably going to be using it, so I'm just kind of keeping that for now. And yeah, the Necklace of Agility, you guys can see these are what I want, but they're not veteran or champion point 160. This is 80 and 60. I kind of just bought them because I was thinking maybe I'll just use it for the set, and then I was just like, do I really want to use low tier items? But then I just have it. But preferably if you could get 160, that would be great, just to min-max as much damage as possible. If you can't craft Night Mothers, you can always buy this, or if you just want the 2 set, Valken Scoria is also a good replacement. Generally, it's kind of hard to get the helmet like in perfect stats, but if you can get it, it always works because you'll be using dot damage, and that one also works, so always good. So as for the bow, it doesn't really matter what you use. People use the Maelstrom bow just because it's not really part of a set and it's individual. But since I'm using the Sithis set right now, I'm using the bow. It's not hard to get these at all, but these are all something that's replaceable. And generally when I'm using that, it's a 4-piece 4 set, and you get additional critical and health. So that's why I'm using it. Other than that, the Sithis is not really a good set, but I do have other pieces to replace it once I get everything else. So now that you guys have seen all the armor that I use, let's get into the skills. So we are an Imperial Templar. So why did I choose Imperial? Because you get max health and increases your max stamina by 10%. And generally, you can't really go wrong with any class being an Imperial. Just having additional health is always good. It doesn't matter what class you play. So if you have that, then it's good. So let's start off with our class abilities. Biting Jabs. This is going to be one of your main attacks. And I'll show you what I'm using. This is the sword bar, and this is the bow bar. So Biting Jabs is going to be one of your high attack single target abilities you're going to be using. And Blazing Spears, you're going to have it on your other bar. You use this, even though it's magic, just to have the enemies getting stunned for a little bit. And if your allies need stamina, then, or just like resources, it's good. Alright, so next we have Dawn's Wrath, and we have Power of the Light. Essentially, this does burn. So pretty much you do that, attack them, and then you do additional max damage. So as you can see, it's about 19,000 over 6 seconds. So that's always good to have additional damage while you're biting jabs and all this stuff. So yeah, that's what I use. And then the Solar Disturbance ult is on here. And as for Repentance, this is probably one of the most important things. Just having constant resources, being able to like not run out is always good. So we have that on our second bar, just because it's not really important on my main bar. So we have it here just because we're going to be going in first with that. So that's pretty much what you want to have. And make sure it's Repentance, because it's a no-cost ability, and you just get free resources off dead bodies. So, good, yeah. Alright, so let's go to our dual wield bar, which is our second one with the dual wields. So we have Steel Tornadoes. This is going to be your AoE attack. It also does quite a bit of damage when you have passives. So, like, if the enemy is weak, it does additional damage, and then your offhand does additional 6%, and then that one is just kind of reduced abilities and more damage, as you may imagine. So you want critical, which is why we use daggers. So Steel Tornado is over here, and so let's go to our bow bar now. We talked about the Blazing Spears. It's for the stun primarily. Don't worry about the damage as much, as it's not really that important. Now we use Endless Hail, just because you're going to shoot up a large area of AoE. So before you start like a group fight, you would toss down the Endless Hail, and then you want to toss down your Blazing Spears, because this does AoE and dot damage along with an additional stun. So this attack lasts for 6 seconds, or not, 10 seconds actually, and then you want them to be stunned in place. So to maximize damage, that's why you use 2 and then 1. And don't really worry about how I organize my bar. It's more of just how I fit it, just because I usually keep my fingers on the WASD keys, and then it's easier to reach 1, 2, 3. So as for 4 and 5, it's stuff that you don't use as often, but just organize it however you see fit. And then Poison Injection, we have it. It's not completely maxed out yet, but it does dot damage. So you shoot an enemy, and then he takes poison damage over time. And if it's under 50%, it takes more damage. That's good, yeah? So assuming you have everything maxed out, bow and dual wield should be 50. Make sure to get... Oh, let's try that again. Make sure to get all the passives. And yeah. Alright, so armor, you want to go full heavy, max out everything, 100%. And as for werewolf or vampire, I don't use either of them, to be honest. But if you were to get it for a stamina build, you want to get the werewolf, because it gives additional stamina while in werewolf form. To be honest, I don't think either of them are that good at this point, but Werewolf for stamina is always the way to go. And now we have Fighters Guild. We have the rearming traps. I use this because you could toss a trap down, and if an enemy gets caught in it, they take a lot of damage over 6 seconds. And there's pretty much additional damage while you're doing more damage, just to stack up everything is generally good. That's why my DPS is pretty high. I can actually take out most classes in PvP without a problem. But if you're just like focusing down bosses and all that stuff, this is generally what you want to do. And at the end of the video, I'll leave a little clip of some dungeons where I just DPS bosses down real quick, and I'll show you how like everything works. But in this first section, I'm just explaining everything and where it should be. So, of course, you want intimidating presence. If you're doing the story, it just makes everything faster. Also reduces abilities by 20%. So, generally good. And most people would either replace the Solar Disturbance for a Dawnbreaker, but I figured Solar Disturbance is a little bit better, in my opinion, just for more damage. While this is a one-time use, but generally you could use it really fast over and over again. The cooldown for this is really short, while this one takes a little bit longer, but you get additional stuns and whatnot for this one. So this is a damage over time, this is a damage over time, AoE, dot damage, and single target ability. And yeah, Undaunted is not really important, but I've seen people use trapping webs to like snare your enemies while you toss down your Endless Hail and do more additional damage. I haven't really used it, but I don't know. We might try it one day. Alright, so now here is the tricky part, just because I know not everyone PvPs. So on my second bar, this itself doesn't really matter, the charging maneuver. Everyone has this one, guaranteed. If you've gone into Cyrodiil once, I'm pretty sure you have it, just because you get level 2 instantly. So this one itself, it doesn't matter, but just to get from point A to point B quicker, that's all it really does. And then Caltrops is on our main bar. I actually got this like 2 days ago, and it's a really good ability, but I know not everyone is going to have it unless you PvP a lot. So what this one does is, it's actually a huge area. And what the alright, so when you toss this down, you'll see a 4. Alright, you can't attack innocents in this area. It's a huge radius, so let's just go to somewhere where it won't. So this is why we have our charging maneuver. Alright, so this seems like a good area. So when you see this area, you see that huge circle? That's the area you'll be covering. So if you toss it down in a large group, you do that, and then usually you switch bars and then toss this down, and then you stun the enemy. So that's damage over time while you main bar and just like fighting jabs everything. Alright, so that's why you throw Caltrops down first, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's not really a big deal. It just does additional damage, and mostly you're using it to slow the enemies in the area. So assuming you're working with a team, you could just burn everything down faster. So that's why I use it. It's pretty good. It's really kind of cool, actually, too. And as for Imperial, everything else is maxed out. And don't worry about crafting. Everything is maxed out there. So that's pretty much the build. There's a few more things I have to show you. In your quick slots, I've been PvPing a little bit to get Caltrops, so don't worry about that. For the most part, you want to have a dual or buy stat item food just to increase everything. Previously, I've been using the tri-stat one, but I figured I don't really use magic that often, so you don't get as much, but you get tri-stats. So you get like 41, 4400, and then in this one, you get 5300 and then 4900. So it's more, but you don't get the Magicka, which is fine with me because I don't really need it. you don't have to have this one exactly. I'm pretty sure there's like multiple variations of it. So get whatever you want. But health and stamina is what you want. Use it once an hour, and then if you have the provisioning buffs, then you get like an extra like 20%. But primarily, you're going to be wanting this to be focused on. It increases your weapon damage and restores stamina. So when you're fighting, you're going to want to have pretty much this on at all times, unless you don't really have too much survivability, which this character, you're more doing damage, so your health is lower than normal. But you see, the weapon critical is pretty high, and once you do critical damage, it goes up, and then when you buff, hold on, buff, it goes up a whole 10%, which is pretty nuts. So if you're in PvP and you're just biting jabs everyone, their health bar just drops. And then, as you may imagine, I showed you this earlier, when you're using the Twiceborn Star set, you get 2 Mundus Stones. Using the Thief and the Shadow, pretty much to increase critical strike damage and critical strike chance. And that's how you burn things real quickly. So yeah, that's really all I use. Of course, you want to put all of the points into stamina. If you find yourself dying way too much, you might want to like sub out 10 points or something into health. But for the most part, the better you play, the less you need health. If you're playing this in group, you should have a dedicated healer. And yeah, so with that said, in the next few seconds, I'm going to be adding a clip of a dungeon from City of Ash. That was actually the most recent one I've done, and you guys can see how it does, like the build itself. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I did want to show you the champion points real quick. Most of this is going to be in the Warlord. I was thinking about taking some points out or just getting it to 100, and then you want stamina recovery and reduce the cost of spells because all your skills are stamina, as you may imagine. And then over here you want resistances. These are all just pretty much resistances. And of course you want increase your physical damage by 25%. Max that out first. This is the most important, highest priority. And then after that, increases damage by criticals because you have a like 65 to 75%. And right now mine is only at 65% essentially. And once I actually max out the Mundus Stone effects, like actually get all of these to legendary, it should be in the 70s, I believe, just base without pots. So that's always good. And yeah, so let's cut to the clip. I will see you guys a little bit later. Thanks for watching. But I guess this is pretty much the build. It's just I need to show you what it is. So if you get the general idea of what's happening, then you don't really need to know anything. So just to explain it a little bit, drop your Caltrops to like immobilize, or just drop your 2 if you don't have that much stam, because it costs quite a bit to cast the Caltrops, so you don't really need to use it that often. If there's like a huge group of mobs, then that's good, but if not, then doesn't really worry. Don't worry about it. Of course, Steel Tornadoes is your main, or your main AoE clear. Just that, usually you don't want to stand in the green thingy, just because it actually kind of hurts. I don't think the trap works on flying minions, but sure. And then when you're on your main bar like this one, just keep jabbing him. Make sure to drop your 5 and 2 before you do heavy DPS, because it adds additional damage. And then once it goes down, poison inject, Caltrops again. Slow him down. I don't think it works. Slow. And then you can use your attack pot just to do more damage. Usually I only use attack pots on bosses just because you run out of this eventually. And burning the boss down faster is better. And that's done. Alright, so kill the Warden is our next one. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a while since I did this, so don't exactly remember where to go. The only ones I know how to do is the veteran one, which is kind of surprising. Occasionally there are heavy sacks and chests. We go there last, but we gotta clear out this one, drop mod 2. Whoop! You know, usually the tank should be going in first, but I figured I could just out DPS it. Don't be afraid to use your repentance more often than you need, because you're the one who's really needing it. And then if your teammates need stamina, this is why you have your 1 bar. You set it to bless shards, give them resources as well. So repentance, you use it when you need it, and your bless shards, it's mostly used for stuns like that. Like they'll be stunned for a few seconds while you do that. That's why I use it. A lot of people question why, but it's really for the stun, and if your allies need extra stam for some reason. Gonna lie, I hope our tank is good, because I haven't seen him take the lead at all. So they're slowed, immobilized. That's when your team runs into DPS it. Heals. Coming up on the boss, I can use a pot. It'll probably be cooled down by the time we get to the boss. I think this is the final boss.
Your hide will make a wonderful rug for the master. Surrender and I'll devour you quickly.
I guess we'll use our attack now.
Rise, minion.
I think it has multiple phases, or either that or you just burn them down. When you see the arrows are gone, you drop your dots. And then switch bars to Tamriel. Matter, I'm fine.
Rise, minion. Stop before it's too late.
Oh my god, I missed. HP war warning. Got it. And that was City of Ash. That's how you do
Thought
it.
I would be more satisfied at his death.
I only died because I
I guess it
forgot
won't
to
bring
jump.
back those he's killed.
I'm beside myself. You truly believe you've won. I didn't expect our little friends there could kill Earthas. But I stand corrected. All this trouble because of one Bosmeri woman? You are Gilren of the Whisper Grove, are you not?
I am? Are you... my runes Dagon?
It was